So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the largest, fastest growing, and the most active large-scale Scrum global community that encapsulates product centricity, product focus, business agility, and business resilience, and many other dimensions of organizational design and the whole system. Today we have a special guest from Denmark. His name is Pascal Dufour, and I think I did the best I could mimicking my French accent. Pascal was just not too long ago a presenter, one of the presenters at the last global conference, and of course I wanted to steal his presence and bring him here as well. So just a few words about Pascal. He's the Agile testing consultant with a passion for people and experiments who likes technology that makes sense. Currently, he is working for a company where he makes a lot of difference. And as a side project, he runs something for scrumrose.org and product practices canvas.org. He is
Yep.
also the world champion in software testing dating back to 2016.
So,
Pascal, with any further ado, I would like to
nope.
pass the baton over to you. I know this should be an interesting and engaging topic, so please take it away. We have an hour.
Yes. Let me start. Thank you for being able to speak here. That's really cool. Um, so, minor detail is I'm from the Netherlands, not Denmark, but it's almost close. So we're at the same
Oh,
size. So, yeah,
that was my
that doesn't matter. Okay. So, I like, let's say, experiments, and I really enjoy the life we currently have in AI, and it's every day it makes me smile, let's say, or wondering at least. Um, what we have done is I'm working at two companies at more or less at the same time, and I've done some experiments that we want to do, and one at an insurance company, and another one in a more development company. And this talk is about what we did in a what we did in the uh, uh, if there's a chat, Gene, you please, if it's important, just shout. Um, so this talk is from the last conference. Last conference was from September. So all you see here is not only from September, but also updated. But the idea is what I started, let's say, in a more year. So to give you confidence, when AI said ship it, should we ship it or not? That's and AI said it's good, everything is okay, so ship it. If we do this, if I look now back, let's say a year ago, I will definitely say no. If I do it now, I'm getting pretty confident. As from the testing perspective, what I am is I'm always a bit, okay, are you sure? You're really sure? Let me challenge that again, and then we go. So um, for me, this is the journey that I want to discover. I have a company called Quality of Speed. This is what I do, and at the end of the slide, we have more context about me. But that's not important. This is the about my journey on the experiment, what we did. So I have a couple of experiments, and I want to see how does that inform our flow, how does it form the decision making, etc. So one is a development company, is a technical company. They do e-com, a lot of e-com websites, but mostly more complicated than a basic website. So at uh, a park where a holiday park where you have own rental houses, so that's a bit more complex, or a high volume e-com site. This is what they do. This is that's what they're good at. The other one is an insurance company. So they have about 6 million insurances active. You can insure for a funeral or when you die, you get a bag of money, and that's you can buy your funeral. But there's relatively a lot of employees, but the IT department where I was, it's about 250 people. divided by two different um, one is the business and one is IT. They have a separate IT department, which is a bit traditional. This is also what they are, a little bit traditional. Also, when you talk about insurance and funeral, don't say, hey, this is the most happy, buzzing thing, but they do cool stuff. So, but it's a safe framework. So even not safe to say here, but this is what they did. And they left safe because it didn't work. So they try bit of a Scrum hybrid, own flavor, whatever experiments we call it. There's no real name for it, but was okayish. I have my complaints about it, but I was at IT and it was out of my control. But nevertheless, I did influence some arts, some facts of that. And the business team were feature teams, which feature, of course, not in less definition of feature, uh, is mostly component teams. The other end round, where I was working 1 day a week, is a development company where this is more project-based. So if they sell, let's say, e-com website, that website will be sold, and let's say we'll deliver this in, let's say, 12 weeks or whatever. There's a Scrum, there's a backlog, this is what they literally do every day. So these are the two companies. And both companies, they started, let's say, to embedding AI in their own way of working. And let's see what's happening. In the AI transitions, I like the fact that were able to, let's say, autocomplete, a bit more luxury. Then on file level, we can do it. Code generation is getting better and better and better, or the scope is getting bigger and bigger. Such. Also better, the quality is better, but also the scope getting bigger. And now we're getting application and landscapes. And with the introduction of agents, we are now, let's say, moving in my opinion, let's say, a more useful way of using AI instead of let me have the auto copy paste from Stack Overflow, which is useless nowadays. But this is what I see, let's say. An interesting fact is, if you see how fast this is an old image, you would say. It's a year old, not even a year old, but this feels like old, in my opinion. So this is 24, 25, even May. So when I presented this in September, it was relevant. There's a modal explosion, many more. And even yesterday, I was using OpenCloud and then see that how many agents I can select, how many models I can select. 689, getting more and more and more. Does not say it's more useful. It's something different. We get more options to choose from. For me, it's getting too much. I cannot keep up with which one model to use. Currently, I use the Cloud Sonnet 4.5. From today on, I choose now 4.6. Why? It suits me. So if we go from the development company, I created a pipeline. This is more or less what they did. In 24, they started with 5 developers in a GitHub pilot. This development company straight away said, hey, this is interesting. We do a review agent from GitHub Copilot when it was available straight away. Go for it. They were really quick in. There was a pre-sales team. Now, hey, why don't we get in? We can generate stuff that's useful for the customers to understand what they get, etc. So they iterate about the product. And 25, there's a review agent Claude, review agent Cursor, and think about Claude. They're getting now more products in, like what they really enjoy, let's say, to have an environment. It's just so easy now to spin up. We don't have to care about it anymore. We see more and more, also more money. Cloud subscriptions, they're getting bigger, like Claude to the max for everybody. They're starting and running agents in production. So not let's say, try it. They created in February, they created the first autonomous AI agent, and in 24 or Q4 they run that agent earlier, and already in the autopilot was in Q2, so I think it was around I don't know exactly anymore. So at least in Q2 was it. Doesn't really matter. There was already something in production. And let's say, 3 months ago, there are already multiple agents in production, multiple clients, and they're now, let's say, definitely moving out of creating code more to orchestration. This is, let's say, more or less the timeline. To give an example, were very early with Cursor. Now they leaving Cursor, let's say. What's now the trend? If you look the same thing in the insurance company. So they were already very early with AI governance. So there was already a rule what is allowed with AI and what's not. But they, as an insurance company, there are not too many risks. So what they do is, let's take it slowly. You are allowed to use AI, but you need to go to the director to get approval. So that's not very helpful if you want to experiment, I can tell you, and they're not really fast in making decisions. But that's the way it normally is. But interesting is, at Q4 2024, they also start Microsoft pushing, let's say. So they were also, hey, this is interesting. This is interesting. Why can't we do a POC, proof of concept? We can do it on a good to have Copilot, because the main goal is they're also to use Microsoft, preferred Microsoft if they have it. If they don't have it, we choose something else. So therefore, it's all Microsoft Copilot, what we see here. And we also did some, was very nice from Patrick Dubois. It's a Belgian guy who's, I think, currently working at Tessel.io. It's pretty interesting. It's very knowledgeable. So if you can hear a talk or a workshop from him, I definitely recommended one. And helped us, let's say, to get the idea started and to get it up and running. The other thing is that we now went to Q2 and also the business started experimenting, because there's a vibe, let's say now, hey, we can make something, we can create something, and more people start using it. There's something about Figma is very interesting, started. I will go more details later on. And there's an Epic agent in production, and we'll show later on some examples how that works. And we started a dedicated AI team, even Q4, and now we have a real AI dedicated team. So that's pretty cool. And they will experiment with some spec gate and some landing zone later on. So if you look at the two difference from the developer company starts earlier, 3 months earlier, and the insurance company, they had a lot of formal training. I was surprised by how much formal training they want. And they also get, of course. But probably there's a relation with Microsoft offering that training to sell their products. And the other is also is that from the development company, they tend to, oh, I want to know this. We already look for it. So they're more eager on learning than the average on insurance. So they're earlier in every sense. So I've got one experiment that I deep dive into two different companies. So as we all know, we write code. We want to know, is this code okay or not? Does it make sense? Does it meet our quality criteria? Is it a good? Is it doing what we expect it to do, etc. So there's a review bot. That was a nice idea. Why can't AI review our code? So we do that both on both companies. So at the assurance company, because we're currently there's a Microsoft DevOps, what we use. So the first thing you do is let's go to Microsoft Marketplace. Hey, there's a plugin who does this. Okay, then the question is, are we allowed? So can we send Let's Code from here to there? Well, back then there were 2 plugins available. Just checked this morning that was already 450 plugins currently available this morning. And let me close the door, sorry. Yes, they start vacuuming the hallway here. So we used that, but we thought this is getting pretty risky. We don't know for sure if we allow this, and with the says you can use AI, but please be careful. No, okay. What we do is we got a great idea. We build our open AI tailored to our own insights, not as I say first one from somebody else and then direct to ChatGPT. Now we want it on our own open AI from Azure AI. So we have the rights available. We can push. We can control the risks, and we can say, hey, stop. If you want something out of control, we can stop it. And it should work in the same repo. So easy does it. Let's do. Okay, create some pipelines. So if we create, let's say, some automation, and then say, hey, this review bot will run. It runs, and we got some feedback. Wow, it works. Okay, not completely. Let's dive into a bit more and work on it. And we got, if we want to share this to other teams, they should also be able to, why not make a module so we're getting and making it more complex and they can reuse it also. So the idea is we got a pipeline toolbox, that's how we call this, and people can use something from the toolbox from themselves, like a platform idea. So you can just pick it, self-service, pick it and run it. Well, okay, here we go. It runs. So and then we got some complaints about the companies. Hey, I want this to be configured. And the other says, I like to be smaller. It gives me too much feedback. The other one sits slower feedback, or less feedback. So we get some discussions, and we took quite some hours to get this up and running and stable. And then it broke again, and then something changed again, and then we fixed it again, and then it looks okay, and then we make it configurable, and then he sometimes reviewed the wrong repo, which we should not be doing, but it did. So it was okay, but it consumes pretty much time. We didn't thought it was that hard because it's very easy. It should be really easy. Nowadays it's easy, but last year it was still difficult. This is what you get, let's say, in an insurance in a corporate environment. What is the difference? Look at a development company. Okay, let's use a review agent. Well, there's one button for it. Let's enable it. Okay, when there's a pull request, select yes, we want this. Back then it's still a preview feature. Well, let's go. Here we go. It was working already. So this is, let's say, if you're using GitHub, it's so much easier than Azure DevOps, where you have to configure everything, control everything, design everything. And with that hurdle, we'll talk more about later. So review agents can, hey, this is what's going on, but you can do more. We also experiment with, hey, there's a Gemini with a code assist. Hey, please review this. And well, this is what they come up with. And the good thing is we can also combine it. So cursor bot, well, please fix it what one review agent says. We did experiment with different from Gemini, Cursor, and GitHub Copilot. They're different and they give a different feedback. And it's worth by experimenting back then. I didn't do it now again because we changed the solution. We currently do it differently. But pretty cool that we were able to do this on 7th of July. So this is always a year ago. And now we can fix it automatically. So the feedback cycle, which is important, drops from I need to ask a colleague to review something to, hey, this makes sense that we can review it. So this is still a human in the loop. This is a boy who was committing this. He's running the cursor agent on his laptop. He said, hey, there's an issue. please find it. The agent said, found it. Okay, go fix it. And he by hand checked if it was okay, and then says, okay, create a pull request, finish it. So that's done. So this was still human in loop. Nowadays, we don't do that anymore. There's no human in loop for these kinds of things. The feedback cycle is okay-ish because you need to pull request and then everything is run, but you want to pull already this review before the pull request. So nowadays, for example, in Cursor, you have a review, agent review who runs over here. That's already a lot better than pushing it first for a pipeline. So again, the feedback cycle from a review from a manual reviewer now to a review in the pipeline, now to on-device review, this helps a lot. Currently, what we now do is we use, let's say, prove this is working by a test. So we create now, let's say, we let them create a test that says, hey, please fix this, and you should verify with this test that this is working. So this is one of the experiments did at two different occasions. One was extremely fast in the GitHub environment. The other one, as a DevOps, where we create everything ourselves, which you don't do anymore. But this is only a half year ago. There's some other things that we experiment with: coding assistants, cloud code generations. A design system that we done with Vibe Code, customer prototyping. We did a lot, and we got customer workflow agents. We also try to experiment with that one. But this is 2025 and currently 26. I left the company late 2025, so I did some updates. The screenshot later on that we still have the data. So if we took MCP from Figma, when it came out, we can control Figma and we can generate code from our design. This is really helpful. So let's try that. That's our assumption. It's helpful. So we created one. So at the insurance company, we move from one design. We want to create a new design system, which the look and feel should be better. So we change something, and then we get some repetition. Why can't he generate if I got let's say, a certain box that should look like this, and then we want a different heading or a different style of element, or I want selection box now to become a combo box, or move one component to another component with the same style. This is something that Figma MCP should be able to do, including the code generation from a unit test, etc. So at the insurance company, they use this for generation. So they build React components. If the button is handling correctly, they were pretty fan of this. So in Storybook, they've used this, and what we found out is because the way they should work is very formalized, it's a bit structured way. It was a very good combination for them. The same thing we did as a development company. So let's see what they do. Well, they tried it and they thought, this is time consuming. We need to do too many steps for it. So for them, don't use it. So two different. One we're very happy with the Figma MCP, the other don't. So coding assistants. Well, if you know a development company, what did they do at their spare time? They're experimenting with code development. So of course they started with not with Studio Code, but at the beginning of the year, they used a lot of Atom or Studio Code, traditional, etc. And when Cursor come in, they thought, wow, this is cool. This is what we're going to do. Then Clark come in. This is even better. This is what we're going to use. Windsurf comes in. Maybe we're going to use it, but most stick to Cursor. Then Google Anti-Gravity came in, and nowadays Codex. What you see now is that they think Codex is more useful to use instead of Cursor. They are still having, let's say, the Cursor plan for everybody, but they see now more and more people go now to use Codex. And if we want to use the editor, they can use the editor also, but they're now more going from the agent mode instead of from the code mode. But every week a new tool, so there's a lot of buzz about this in the company. It's also, but it's good, but also slows you down. Well, an insurance company, really simple. Use Visual Studio Code. That's it. With a GitHub Copilot license. That's it. No, always the same, because they're a Microsoft first company, let's say. So that's what they use. We also asked how happy they are with it, and with Copilot. And this is what they were the results. Pretty positive. But if I ask them, are you now doubling? They don't say no. They're not doubling. They like it, but they're not doubling yet. So the question is, if you like it, we should also see it in the user statistics. Well, here, that's very easy to see. Here you got the statistics. This is the money. This is the money you spend, so this should be correct. There's a problem. When we were, let's say, it was, I think, about August, if I remember it correctly, we said, okay, you can spend so much money, but be aware of, don't spend too much, otherwise we don't want, let's say, there's a budget limit for us. So what we want to do is create a budget limit for each team. You can spend, let's say, 1,000 euros with your team on AI, but don't do 10,000 euros. So, but this is the, and then we came, then Microsoft came because we were running in these were kind of problems. So one guy is using a lot, his premium request, it was, August was this. August was not allowed anymore. He's run out of the budget, let's say. And for us, we have more than enough. You can see premium request 9.7%, but the guy itself has 100%. So again, we are, let's say, Microsoft company, and we get, well, we want to do this differently, but that's very difficult. That's a bit too less, but probably is now will be changed. Will be changed. So we get the cap. Interesting. We also looked at the Durametrics for AI and see, are we normal? Is this normal behavior what we have? I hope there will be a new one, because this is out from 2025. I checked it. There's no new yet. Most people say it's more likely that they're more productive, but we don't see yet, and at the insurance company, a lot of boost in productivity. They're using it, the code and the AI, to add code, to generate part of the code. That's it. They don't generate with agents a lot. They are now experimenting with it. The other thing is, what you also can do, we can look at McKinsey and say, hey, 40 to 50% faster they should go. But a quote, without access to good, relevant data, this new world of possibility and value will remain out of reach. And this is also something that we struggle with. At the development company, they see this, they're all currently almost doubling their productivity. The timeline when they deliver, let's say, an e-commerce platform for a company, this is decreasing a lot. So they are getting these numbers. We don't see this yet at the insurance company. If you look at organizational design, so how does this reflect that organizational design? First, the development company. Developing company worked pretty quick. They changed already the design in the first of 25. what they did is, hey, we will talk to the people with real people, to the customers, design our architecture. This is what we want. But if we go for prototyping, we try to make clear what we want and let the AI generate spec the complete thing, which makes sense because to say, hey, back then the error rate was okayish, now it's getting more perfect. So they're prototyping, working examples are generated completely. When they know what they want, and then they or reuse partly or getting now, let's say, uh, still having the manual interference of how things should work, and then deliver, let's say, and do the maintenance operations matrix. To give a simple example, prototyping, most people probably know it, something like V0 or V dash, many of these tools. They are moving away to orchestrator of agent. How there's a nice statistics. I got this from last week. Currently, they see how much lines of code AI in September was 16%. Currently, they do 34, almost 35% of the code is generated. As a tester mind, I said, does that mean it's better, worse? Is there more quality, same quality? The idea currently is pretty the same quality what they get. So they don't see a lot of increase in production incidents or let's say everything coded now brilliantly. No, increase of code where they are confident in. This is changed at the development company. So they even have a different team. What do you do at the organization design for a insurance company? There's a really nice saying from Jurgen de Smet. There's a, I think there's also online from it. If you have enough money and you want something, design a role for it. So what did you do at this company? It's an insurance company. And what do you do with, do you want to have a controlled AI competence center? Or we try to do in all the teams want to some AI embedding? It's not the right questions to ask, but what do you want? What is now, let's say, as a discussion, we probably more has less and less. Let's hey, what we need as a, let's say, at a foundation level. So what you want this in a team, or you want this in a feature team, which and this is the struggle. And we see at least two things that going on there. One is we use components they get AI enabled, which you're going to use, and the other is hey, well, we need something to land on. So an AI landing zone in Azure, how that's called, we need that thing. So it should be somewhere. This is where the AI competition, and because it's they were slow. What will is the result of slow? Well, let's create an Excel file and put there all the brilliant ideas inside. So when we got time, we will start with it. Well, this is the real file, by the way. A blur because you're not allowed to show the content, but it's even longer. And as you can see, there are multiple tabs even, so it's a big file. So but they started now and they have, so the infrastructure wise, landing zone, governance, security, all these things are in place before they started. This is something that the insurance company were keen on. Get the, let's say, control in place before landing our AI agents. And they also got the agents. Don't say the other company didn't have controls. So there's the Epic agent. And the Epic agent is something that's just an idea. And somebody say, hey, this is what we need to do. Okay, well, easy. So we want something, you want to create an agent, or sorry, you want to create an Epic. And with that Epic, you want to, let's say, improve the products of Dela, so the insurance company. So it will guide you to write some really good epics. So the idea is, well, start writing, and he will can. Um, you could ask something like, "Hey, can you give me the insights to the objectives and the goals of our company?" Yes, of course. And here you go. And um, even can go deeper. Hey, can you explain a bit more regarding the data-driven decisions and the future investment in AI? Here we go. So it helps you, and this time uh, um, the people who write, let's say, they don't forget. So it enables a bit. This is an experiment that's currently being used, and people like it because what they used to do, take the text, write it, go to ChatGPT, copy it, paste it, check it a bit if we're complete. Then you get, is it allowed or not? That discussion. Now it's easy. It's all running inside Dela. No questions asked. It's okay. So we got a couple experiments. I've mentioned a couple. And so how did they help? The AI bot is very useful, running and very nice. The Figma, the development company, didn't like it. At the other side, the insurance company really liked it. So also the developers are really happy with it, with the flow, etc. So it's very different from the context. The Epic AI they like, vibe coding they like the less at the development company a lot. Currently they use a lot of Copilot Studio, but they don't know how the maintenance will be, how good it will be in 1 year or 2 years. Will they be good enough or not? To conclude, there are some takeaways. My takeaways, if there's a new thing that's going on, if you're an early adopter, you will get the benefits. But there's also something that I want to shout out because if you look at the review bot, we spent, let's say, a couple of weeks development with 2 guys on it, and it didn't work as planned, let's say. It was okay, but it didn't really like, damn, this is a really good solution. So, and then now we just can use the GitHub review agent. So sometimes waiting is more cost efficient for current situation, but you didn't learn so much. So if you want to learn, go for early adopter, way better. Just like nowadays, will continue. I think it's helpful, especially understanding, let's say, the problem, what they want. I think you should generate more, you can reflect your ideas better by using code, and then you can see this is how it works. So that's something I really like. Also, standardization is way better. So, for example, if you at the insurance company, there were 20 teams. So, and 10 they are really building software. So each team, when providing, let's say, an environment or what they do now, because of the code base is more the same, it produces more the same data, more the same code, structure-wise, not the same lines of code, but reusing, etc. So the patterns are getting more same. You are promoted to use the same patterns. You're quicker when using the same. So the standardization of the code is really great. If you got the standard code and you generate the same thing, but then for a different company or a different product, it's so much easier. So therefore, one thing is I'm a tester at all. So testing is key for moving fast. And what we see now is sometimes AI makes mistakes and you need to be aware of it. And of course, you can have your guardrails, etc. But also if you do some manual testing, check it. Sometimes you need to be broader than expected. You should only change this code. Let's say if you login screen, you've changed your my environment, your account environment, your preference. If you change something there, your search feature should not change. You never know. Sometimes it will change. Watch out for these quirks, let's say, of AI. That's testing is key for moving fast. So beware of a good regression test. And sometimes you need to check it maybe by hand and additional more. AI is a pleaser and it is addictive and therefore also costly because I get the idea that we're now moving, let's say we went to the cloud and everybody needs to go to cloud. And now we got a big bill from the cloud companies. And I think that will happen the same thing with AI. We're getting addictive. Then hey, it works perfectly. And then they raise the bar. First, we got at Microsoft, we got it for free, let's say the AI. And as you can saw, we're now spending thousands of dollars on AI. And we're doing a bit more. So it's still doable, but be aware of it. The current experiments, what we are now using, it's a bit about also the coding is we move from code to agentic engineering. So we let agents build and we orchestrate. Agent with skills like they are now using, let's say, a lot of skills inside Claude to see how can this works. Define agents agentic workflows, say this is how the steps your normal process will do. So we write all these steps like a bit on last, I think 6 months ago, everybody was talking about PRDs and description about how you should specify what you work. You don't hear that anymore because the evolution is now that the models are so good, you don't need it. You still need good specification, but a very broad and detailed PRD is not necessary anymore because the model's getting better. Don't see the models evaluating a lot currently, but I'm very happy with this current situation. So this is what we're currently working on, and I'm more than happy to post a bit more on later when we got some results. But this is where we are now from 2 companies, and it's been a lovely journey. And I want to special shout out to Martijn. He's as was at a cloud center of excellence. We're working on a system team and at the insurance company and also to the guys at RB2 to do this talk within 1 hour. So
Thank you,
15.
Pascal. That's great. Thank you so much for doing this. It's a great and inspiring outlook on what AI can do for us and what some
Yes,
of its limitations are. If you are open to this, we have another 10 minutes or so
yep,
for Q&A,
sure.
folks. Please just shout. We don't have that many people. So Mickey is raising his yellow hand. Please just go ahead and shout, Mickey. Is it Mickey or Mikey? I'm sorry. All
I
right,
don't hear you.
you're mute now. Yeah, just go ahead. I think you're mute. You're still mute.
We don't hear it.
Now we can. Not still. I think Mickey is
Other input?
to solve for his technical issues. Maybe someone else in the meantime. Doug, please.
Oh, I just had a quick question,
Yes.
Pascal. You mentioned not liking ticketing systems and stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Why can't the AI fill in the tickets to provide visibility on where it is?
There are two different things. First of all, if you need a ticketing system to get something done, I think that's not a good idea because, in essence, I don't want to automate a system that should not be existing. So, for example, if you want a ticket to get yourself a server, so then I just want, let's say, give me an API we can call as a developer perspective, and then I get that server. So if you want a certain rights, request the read rights, and then get it direct. So I want a ticketing system, in my opinion, is something useful when it can be delayed. Let's say, but I like the fact that it's auditable. because one of the things that the transition at the insurance company was a lot on getting confidence what you deliver. Are you delivering it the way you tell them that you delivered? So we've got audits, etc., for the definition of done. When we deliver something, it should be auditable, which is a lot of work because ticketing system by its is auditable, but automating that, I'm more a big fan of remove the need for a ticket, or if you have a ticket in your process, which can be, let's say, a script or whatever you run, and then drop the information to a ticket if you need that ticket for auditability. But don't use let's say, it looks like if you want information, like you need to first put it into our, like a little bit odd idea. You want to buy a hot dog and you see you need cash, but you got the card. First go to the ATM, then automate that the ATM gives cash, then gives cash to the, so it makes no sense to have that round trip. So
Okay.
that's
Thank you.
the idea. So, but I definitely like, you need to auditable. This one thing that AI agent also should do, be auditable, traceable. So don't forget that one.
Mhm. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I'm back in. You guys hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
Yeah, too many options of what it can feed. First off, when your comparison of the two different organizations,
Yes.
so you got dev and you got insurance. Do you
Yes.
think it's the degree of risk, like the governance associated with insurance that was really some of the drivers on the speed and where you were going?
Yes. Yes. Let me give a really simple example. If we want to do something, um, the essence is at an insurance company, oh, wait, we need, what is the rules? What are the guidelines to do this?
Yeah.
So if there's something new, well, okay, then we first need to make a decision what we want to do with it. And the other development said, hey, let's create a proof of concept this afternoon. Let's hackathon something. And there the governance is, and so their risk mitigation is don't do it. The other thing is, I don't know if it's typically insurance, but I see it more often. Can also be that it's Europe or in the Netherlands. If you, for example, you see something like, there are rules with there's a we have been audited by the Dutch bank because you're insured, then you have to comply to certain rules.
Yep.
And let's say a very simple one. The environment from your testing, acceptance, etc., should be separated from production, which is a pretty good rule that you don't. Yeah, everybody knows that separation, and this time it's so there's no argument about. When what the most people or most companies do is pick this rule, create another rule around it, how they will do it. So you are not allowed to do this and that document will not be updated the first 5 years, and then it gets its own life, and then said, well, you're not allowed to use any staging environment. There should be always a DTAP. So you're allowed to do development, acceptance, test, and production. But I want to spin up a new environment. Well, that's not allowed to the law of insurance, which is incorrect because they have there's a rule. We found a solution how we want to solve it. That gets their own life. So what we did in this time, we went back to what is where it is stated, how should we do this? Okay, then this is allowed, and we just do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've worked in financial, so yeah, I know those constraints. The second one, talking about, so you increased your amount of code that you're able to generate, but I always am thinking, because you brought it up, and it always says at the bottom is don't trust AI 100%. You also talked about no questions asked. Where do you balance those things out? And because there's always, you generate it's good, you need to check it though, and the effort that you're gaining up front to the effort that you have to put in the back, where, you know, that's a struggle I find.
Yes, yes. And there's therefore when um, if I look for from testing perspective, this is also a testing question. You can see from testing perspective because you want to know, is it good enough?
Yep.
Do I add some risk or not? What I currently see more, and which is a good behavior, it used to be we have our own, let's say, testing in place. That could be manual, automatic, whatever. And then we run, let's say, generate some code, and then we have our same running, etc. Nowadays, if we look, let's say, to an agent, you say something like, "Hey, please add, let's say, a third payment method to our e-com website, and please test this with the following. If this will succeed, then you're allowed to get my feedback, or then you're allowed to push it to to an environment." So we now get more and more into description of behavior, which are not technically difficult things to write because we're now doing natural languages. And then you said, this is the behavior, you need to prove me that this is working. And again, like maybe you like specification by example, behavior-driven development, these acceptance criteria, these things are now, let's say, more useful because you can give them now also to the agent. When this is successful, these should pass. Please provide me evidence to this. And it's getting now better and better. So I get now more confidence that it's what they produce is better.
Yeah, as time goes, it learns. So it's actually and also the model, the LLM is,
Yes.
I guess, expanding and gathering more.
Yes, but now we can ask, simple question you should ask him is how you know this feature works.
Don't settle for boring. Design memorable t-shirts.
So this is something that
because one of the things that I'm constantly now putting in any of my prompts is I want you to act as an expert. I don't want assumptions or estimate, whatever it may be, to eliminate those variables or those things that may go off the rail a little bit.
Yeah. And what I now, for example, with agentic engineering, what you currently do, if you start up, let's say, you have a prompt that how should I read this code base? How should I use this code base? But how should I verify that this code base is still working? Yeah. And every time, so what I normally do is I open up a new terminal, I said Claude, and then, for example, say /install or prime, and then run the test, something like CI/CD is designed for. Yeah. Okay, if it's built, then first check it, git pull, run it. Okay, ready to change.
Cool.
So this is what I do.
Very good, thank you.
Folks, Pascal, thank you. Mickey, thank you for the question. I think we can take one more before we run out of time. Maybe for someone else, if you guys and gals, you're willing to pose one. One more question we can take. Going once.
Or a bad joke is also fine.
Yeah, so I guess none. Okay, good. So nevertheless, I would like to very much thank you, Pascal, for coming out here.
Yep.
This relatively getting late hour for you.
Yeah, time for dinner.
Sharing your wisdom. Folks, thank you very much to all of you for joining and listening and participating. We shall be offering this recording for a replay probably in a day or two. Just, depends how long it will take me to get it ready, as well as the materials that Pascal used today that will be available for circulation. Yep. And if you do want to talk to Pascal directly, obviously, as you know, you don't need me. Just reach out to him on LinkedIn. He is easily accessible, and he'll be happy to share his wisdom with you on the subject. Did I say that, Pascal?
Yes, perfect.
Excellent. Okay. Well, then I would like to thank you, everyone, for joining. Wish you the rest of the Friday. Be well, stay warm. It's pretty cold everywhere. And we shall meet again in a couple of weeks. Pascal, thanks again. Once again, thank you.
Thank you for organizing. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.